Shoot.
The yellow is way down at one end. This is intentional. This is what your job, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to keep your yellow clean. And the way you do that is this way. Nothing else is going to slosh into it because it's down there at that end. If you are painting along, say with your green, and you want yellow in it, don't take your dirty brush and put it in here. There is yellow over here, a glob of yellow in the corner of your palette. That's what that little yellow in the green area is for. That's what's going on with that. So there's an area for mixing your grays and your grays and blacks, an area for mixing your browns, there's an area for mixing your greens, your blues and violets, and for your yellows and your warm colors, your reds and your oranges and your pinks. Right? There are a few colors which we'll kind of go probably another time. Kind of do a little. I've actually on my blog. There's a blog post I have called Watercolor Choices, where I go into a description of a lot of these different colors. But here's just a few kind of highlights. If you've been with me before, you know that the primary colors are not yellow, red, and blue, but cyan, yellow, and magenta. This yellow down here is your best primary yellow. Your best primary cyan is a paint called phthalo blue, just to confuse things. Phthalo blue makes a really nice cyan. Phthalo blue, however, is very, very staining. And so you cannot lift it out. There is a color that makes a nice cyan, but it is much more anemic, much more pale. That's the manganese blue hue. That's also a cyan. It's not as versatile as that phthalo blue, but we've got two cyans in there side by side. One is the staining intense color that is the best for mixing with other things. This manganese blue hue is nice because it doesn't stain at all. You could paint an area blue, get a little towel while it's wet, blot out a little cloud, and the color lifts right out. Colors that will kind of take you a while to meet, encounter, and to develop a personal love affair with. But I want to point out that on everybody's palette, there's this sort of weird brown thing called Bloodstone Genuine. And I find myself reaching for this all the time for mixing in anything dark. It makes this rich chocolatey, brownish black. And I find, sometimes if I want to make something black, I'll just use that. It really mixes to a nice, nice dark.
Can you point to that one?
And above it is a shadow violet. It's a purple color that I use for lots of sort of shadow colors on lots of different sorts of things. Purple, sort of a grayish, excuse me, a grayish purple is a nice sort of background base color for a lot of shadows. And if you go on my website, there are a lot of step-by-step demos, and you'll see that I'll lay in all the shadows with that shadow violet, and then come in and put the rest of the colors on top of it. So sometimes I'll put in the shadows first. There's also a few colors on your palette which you should know are things that will get super intensely dark when you want them to. You can add more color to them and lighten them up, but it's nice to know that there are some things that get dark, 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 almost black. And then you can kind of go like, oh, this has a little bit of this other color showing through. And then you can dilute it to other sorts of things. When you want to push things to dark, these colors are your best friends. Not all colors push to this intense dark, but here are a few of the ones that do so. Number one, Indathrone Blue. All right, that, pow, makes almost a midnight black when you put it in an intense thick application. Above that is Perylene Green, right? Also, same thing. It goes crazy, crazy dark. Down here, between this blue and that magenta, by the way, your magenta is quinacridone pink. That's your nice magenta.
You have a 2-year-old walking up and down the stairs, but I have to run and help my kid's father collect them, so...
Great.
Okay.
If you could just get a spotter on that, that would be great.
Oh, here my mother is too. I wasn't able to...
Okay, great. So, for friends at home, that's good parenting, right?
She's actually pretty good up the stairs.
She is. So there's also a purple here called Windsor Violet. that goes super, super, super dark. This is one of the few colors that we have that's Winsor Newton. There is a Daniel Smith formulation of this, dioxazine violet, I think it's called. However, this one is a little bit less staining than that, so I chose the less staining one. I like things that are less staining. So that purple also goes super, super, super dark. Find several different sorts of black things. Some watercolor purists say mix all your blacks, because if you just get a straight out of the tube black, it looks sort of dull and dead, and they're right. But sometimes I'm really lazy and I'm impatient and I want to get my Blackbird black, and I reach for my black paint, and it's really convenient. I say to myself, I'm glad I have that. Your black is neutral tint, right? So that's your black. Down below it is another color that you can use as black, but it's a little bit more on the blue side, right? That is Payne's Gray. Down below that is a very pale mousy gray, right? That thing that here looks black, when you get this black tourmaline genuine on something, you'll find it's this light, sort of warm, mousy gray. And so that doesn't make a dense black. It looks dense black here. It's not. All right? So those are some things that you can know that sort of make sort of bright, vivid colors. Good things to